Peace and blessings. Welcome back to the channel, Mr. 1000 Reps.
Mr. 1000 Reps.
Today, we're going to take the time and introduce you to my beginner workout, 10's. So make sure to stay tuned, and if you like, go ahead and join me while I'm doing the workout. So a couple of pointers I want to make about the workout. Number one, time under tension. This particular workout, I created it not only for strength, but also for cardio and endurance. So the time under tension means that you have to try to engage your mind and your body by flexing while you're doing the workout. Additionally, it can get pretty testy or pretty hard and challenging to do this workout. So as a beginner, I would say that you can get a towel, a cushion, or even a yoga mat. And if you need to start on your knees as an assisted push-up or an assisted workout, it's perfectly fine. Go at your own pace and make sure that you protect your joints from any damage, all right? Another thing about this workout is that it is going to be kind of grueling on the wrist. So during the workout, I'm going to bring out 2 different sets of push-up bars to kind of give you a little bit of idea of how you can not only strengthen your hand grip and your forearm string, but also make sure you put the least amount of pressure on your wrist. So stay with me. As always, like and share, and also comment what you see on this video today. And once again, welcome to Mr. 1000 Reps. All right, so the basic function of the workout is similar to that of a push-up or a plank. So to make it harder, instead of just going into a plank position on your forearms, what I did was I started in a plank push-up position all the way up. From there, once I flex my muscles, I'm going to count starting from 10 backwards or 10 forward, depending on the way that your brain works. And then I'm just going to go down without letting my chest touch and also keeping tension on my body. So I'm going to show you a quick example of that now. So I'm going to get into my regular push-up position. My hands are roughly where my shoulders are. I'm going to push my legs up, and I'm going to tighten my whole body, my hands, my forearms, my arms, my legs, my abs. And I'll just start counting. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Then I go down. Keep flexing, breathing, and start counting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Then I go back up. And I just keep counting. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Then I go back down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Go back up and continue counting from there. Now it's important that you know that how many times you go up or down does not matter. You want to do the workout basically to the point where your arms start shivering, your legs are shaking, your abs hurt, and you stop either going up or down. The reason for that is because basically you're working to exhaustion. Now you'll hear a lot of people say, oh, I don't really want to work out to exhaustion if they're using a lot of weight because you got a lot of stress on your joints. But here, you can alleviate that pressure or that tension on the joints, once again, by simply going on your knees or lessening how much time you spend up and down. Now for your knee position, I'm going to go ahead and show you how to do those. Remember, as a beginner, you can use a yoga mat, a towel, a cushion, whatever makes you feel comfortable. I like to do them on my bare knees because then that way I can kind of adjust my body to determine if my knees are weak or if I have joint pain. Also, if my body is maybe not straight or balanced, okay? So to do them on your knees, you're simply going to get back into the push-up position, except in this, instead of bringing your legs up in this time, you're just going to get on your knees. Now, with your legs, you can have them flat on the floor or you can pick them up. So it really depends on how much you can resist on your knees. Same process. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then we go down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Back up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This time, let's do it with our feet up. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Back up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Another thing you want to keep in mind is when you're doing the workout, your head position is very important. If you put your head down, you're now putting stress on your spine, as well as you're kind of blocking your airways. So you want to be either head level with your body, or you can pick your head up. By picking your head up, you take some of the stress off of your shoulders and your neck, and on top of that, you expand your diaphragm so that you can breathe better. So stay tuned, and then we'll go ahead and show you some other iterations of where you can put your hands and your feet, and we'll do 8s this time. So before we continue on with the demonstration, I kind of want to give you a little backstory of how I came up with 10s. Around 2008, I was an iron worker, and unfortunately I had a work-related injury that put me into a cast in my right foot. So because I couldn't do my usual 1,000 push-ups a day, and I was forced kind of to being in bed, taking medication, and not being able to walk around because I was in crutches, I really didn't want to just stay sitting. So what I did is I got on my knees. So that's why I don't consider assisted push-ups a girl push-up, because I got just as much of a workout off my knees, I should say on my knees, as I did off my knees. So what I started doing this, the whole point of it was I just didn't want to do push-up after push-up after push-up. Remember, I wanted to create endurance, and I also wanted to create strength training with the cardiovascular aspect of it as well. And so that's where I came up with 10s. I can't remember exactly how I started counting back from 10, 8, 6, 4, 2, subsequently 9, 7, 5, 3, and then 1. But I knew that it was just, I wanted to challenge myself. So I just started by holding it as long as I could until my arms just gave out. After I healed, which took almost 2 years, I started getting on my toes and doing the same workout. And just to make it a little bit more challenging, I started changing my hand position. So now that we'll continue on with the demonstration doing 8s, I'm going to go ahead and show you a couple of different hand positions and leg variations as well. All right, so your standard position usually is your hands about shoulder width, right? Another thing you can do is you can kind of put one hand behind the other this way and kind of gauge where your elbow is, turn, and come back. So that's a good way of kind of finding an easy balance to where you are, as we call, shoulder position. Now you can go just a little bit outside the shoulder, and what I normally do with that is I rotate my hands outward this way, and then I just come onto my fingers. So by going onto my fingers, as I said, and rotating, I put my hands out about a hand's space. So now I'm just outside of shoulder width. If you want to go do more, I would say rear delt, which is your shoulder, and more of a back workout or a lat workout, you can do the same. Just rotate and come out. The same thing coming back in. And you end up right back at the same position. So try practicing once again, finding shoulder width, and then slightly bring your hands out. And that's going to increase the distance between your hands, putting more stress on your shoulders and your back, or putting more stress on your triceps and your biceps, and also on your chest. Now, I don't know if you noticed while I was doing that, the difference in my elbow position. So I'm going to do a set of 8s with shoulder width apart, and I'm going to keep my elbows inward. So when I'm up, my elbows are kind of pointing back towards my feet, and when I'm down, my elbows stay in. The next set I'm going to do, I'm going to rotate my hands outward, and then from here I'm going to keep my elbows out. So once again, elbows in, elbows out. So let's go ahead and do a set of 8 with the elbows in. Let's make sure I have shoulder width apart. All right. I'm going to keep my legs standard for this one. And then we'll start. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Elbows in, come down as far as you can, and hold. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And back up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Elbows in, going down. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And up. So that was the first set with the elbows in. Let's do another set with the elbows out. So from the shoulder width position, I'm going to just slightly point my fingers out, come onto my fingers, bring my wrist down. And what I want to do is I want to make sure that I put my palms flat and try to put as much weight on my palms as possible rather than my wrist or my fingers. So what this is going to do is it's going to force me to keep my wrist as straight as possible. Remember, I'm going to put my elbows out this time instead of in. Now, does this mean that this particular hand position always requires elbows out? It does not. An intermediate to advanced position would be to open up your arms as wide as you can and then keep your elbows in. Very taxing on the triceps, on the chest, and also on the abs, believe it or not, because you're really tight. But here, with my elbows out, I'm focusing still on my triceps, but more on my forearms, my shoulders, and my back. So here we go. Into the push-up position, and start. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Elbows out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And up. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then elbows out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And up. So, as you see, your hand position makes a big difference on your elbows, but also as you advance in your strength by turning those elbows in or out when they're close or further apart, it's going to make it more challenging for you. So stay tuned and we'll go on to 6 and do some leg variations. Well, I hope you're having fun so far. We've only done 10 variations and 8 variations. Now we're going to move on to some 6s, except this time I'm going to show you some different leg positions. Now, it's very important you understand when you're doing any push-up position or plank, whether you're on the tip of your toes or whether you're kind of lean back onto your toes, forward on the toes, that's going to make a big difference on the way that your stability is going to be or your balance. I particularly, like I said, have a toe injury, and so it's very hard for me with soft tip shoes to really get onto the tip of my toes. Now, if I got like a steel toe or maybe even a boot that has a sole that kind of, sticks out a little bit from the tip of the shoe, then I can use that to kind of keep my foot straight down. Unfortunately for me, because of that injury, I just can't get on my toes with soft shoes. But like I said, if you have really strong feet or strong toes, you can go ahead and try them on the tip of your toes. That's going to put some more tension on your body because you're kind of floating as you go up and down. Whereas when you're kind of leaning back onto the toes, then you're a little bit more balanced. So your body doesn't float as much as you're going up and down. Now, what is the purpose of changing my leg position or my feet position? It's basically by opening my legs, I create that oblique tension on the sides of my abs, and I also create tension on my lats. Remember, in the last set, we showed you elbows in and elbows out. So with my leg position, I normally like to do a very wide grip because then that when I'm putting as much tension as possible on my rear delts, which is a hard muscle to work out, on my lats, on my obliques, because it's that cardio workout, and you're also doing that core strength training, and then you're also putting stress on your legs because you got to hold them out. So now instead of your push-up / plank being mostly upper body, you're engaging your legs more. And so make sure that you keep your legs tight, but you don't want to tighten them so much that you're putting a lot of stress on your knees, all right? Remember, this workout is not about hurting yourself. It's about building strength. It's about building determination and also building that cardiovascular strength so that you can have endurance, all right? So let's go back down onto the floor and get to repping with some 6s and open up our legs a little bit. So remember, for me, I like to put my hands out as wide as possible. So recall, I started shoulder width. I showed you how to put your hands out. I've been doing this long enough to know kind of where that imaginary plane of where my hands will go is. So I'm going to keep my hands out. Now, because my hands are so far out, normally we want to bring our strength to the outside of our palms. So I want you to try as much as possible to put the weight towards the inside of your palm and towards your thumb, all right? Now I'm nice and wide. I'm going to put my feet out and use my knees pretty much as far as my hands are. So you see my feet and my hands are kind of in line or 180, right? From there, I'm going to get into the position. And here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And down. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Back down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And up. So, as you see, the leg position by being that far out kind of puts you in almost like a star position. Your head in the center, arms out, legs out. Don't forget, your head position is very important. Since you want to get that stress in the abs and in that oblique area and in the lats, you want to make sure that you breathe and try to keep your head either level with your body or up. Stay with us. 4s are next. All right, so we did 10, 8, 6. We're going to do some 4s. Now, I brought out some assortment of bars. I've had these bars for a very long time. These particular bars, when I got them probably about 15, 20 years ago, they had like foam on them, so they were really soft. I took the foam off and I put grip tape on them. The purpose of that is to get more of a grip onto the bars and develop more hand strength and more forearm strength. In front of those, you'll see that I have the perfect push-up. Now, Mr. 1000 Reps is not endorsed by the perfect push-up, but I am a firm believer that the creator of the perfect push-up did a wonderful job. And so I think that I should pay homage because this little contraption right here, this just marvel of technology, has really done a big difference for my ability to build that strength to do push-ups. So, little backstory. These right here, because of the height of the bar itself, from here to here, allows you to get that extra stretch on the way down. And because they also have that same, arc, when you're at the top, it actually forces you to keep your wrist straight. Because you're not planting your hand and rather gripping, you get a better chance of keeping the wrist straight. So what you don't want to do so you don't hurt yourself is you don't want to have your hand this way. And now obviously if I have my hands really wide and I'm going down, you're going to want to do this with your elbows. So it's very important that you remember your wrist is not your elbow. So it does not need to move at the same rate or at the same distance every time you go up and down. So if I find myself going down with my elbow out and I'm really getting, a real bend in that wrist, I might want to bring that elbow in or bring the bar out further. So that's the reason why I like this. Once again, grip strength, forearm strength, and also helps your wrist so you're not getting a major bend and not hurting your wrist so you can't work out the next day. The perfect push-up, this is the newer version of it. There was an older version which I also have. It was just plastic and more square. These just have a little bit more shape to them. The handle's a little bit more robust, but they are in ball bearings, so they spin 360 degrees. I really like that. Number one, because not only does it give you that same hand strength and allows you to keep that wrist straight, but also because you can spin it. As you learn how to put your body in time under tension or flexing that muscle, you can actually get a lot of tension into that wrist. And by twisting that, you get a lot of forearm workout and a lot of bicep and some tricep workout too. At the top of it, if you squeeze your pecs, women or men, you squeeze your pecs or your chest, you can develop that crease in the middle of the chest that so many of us, dream of having. But it's important to remember that when they created this perfect push-up iteration, whether it's the beginners, the first one that's flat or this one that's more concave, it's important to know to go to the perfectpushup.com and look at their exercise routine, because there is a beginner, a medium, or I should say intermediate, and also an advanced way of using these. I'll tell you a little backstory. When I did injure myself and I created 10's, I was using these, and because I was like, oh, I could do 1,000 push-ups, it ain't nothing, I'm just gonna go right to the advanced ones, even though it specifically said in the instructions, take your time. So I started out in this position, rotate to here, right? Up and down, rotating. Well, in the advanced, they teach you to rotate all the way around so you can get that bicep in. I had spent some time doing one-arm pull-ups and also reverse grip pull-ups, which put a lot of stress on my bicep. Beknownst to me, when I started doing that same workout and going all the way down, I ended up pulling a bicep. Now, I didn't tear, but I can tell you that it felt like it tore. It was just painful. So once again, be very careful and just judge your level of strength and ability by knowing how flexible you are to do that advanced workout, okay? So with that said, we're at number 4. So I'm gonna go ahead and do a little bar work for you and count some 4s out. Let's go ahead and start with the straight bar, and then I'll show you some different moves with the perfect push-up. Now with the bars, because they don't rotate, there's 3 or 4 different positions that you could put them in. You could put them this way as a regular bench press or push-up. Notice how my wrists are straight. You could put them this way, like a hammer curl. Notice how my wrists are straight. Make sure to keep them as level as possible. You can also angle them by putting the front or the back at an angle, which is similar to a diamond. I can put them close and I can put them far. That takes almost all of the stress on your elbows away when you're doing a close variation of a push-up, aka a diamond. You can also put them outward and really get that flex for the bicep. You can also put them all the way around. If you're gonna do this variation, I would suggest you put them out as far as possible. Very difficult because, number one, all of your body weight is being used by the bicep. So if you haven't built bicep strength, or like me, you have a torn bicep where I don't have this part of my bicep, I only have the inside, it is so stressful. And the pain sometimes can become intolerable. Remember, Mr. 1000 reps, it's not about injuring you. It's not about hurting you. It's about building you, right? We want wellness. And so in order to achieve that wellness, we got to take the time and take that feeding, that nutrition, that information I give you, and then put it into your mind and make it healthy for you. Think about it before you do it. And then by having that determination or that will, that spiritual strength, you can hopefully get your 10s down, all right? So let's go ahead and do some sets of 4s. We're just gonna do a basic workout, right? Because I want you to see the basic workout and learn from there before we go advanced. So with this push-up, I'm gonna basically, I should say with this variation of 10s, I'm going to use some of my other techniques that I showed you. So my legs will be a little bit open, my wrists are gonna be straight, elbows are gonna be going out. Now I'm also gonna introduce a breathing technique where it's in through my nose, out through my nose, while I'm counting. So it's gonna increase my heart rate and get that cardio really going. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So as you see, keeping your wrist straight is very important, right? Legs were open, so I kind of had half and half. Half of my core, half of my upper body engaged. We're gonna do another set of 4s, but this time, I'm gonna do it with the perfect push-up. So let's go ahead and move these bars out of the way and bring these in. Now with this, I'm gonna do an intermediate workout. So I'm gonna go just outside of my shoulder width. And this time, I'm gonna start from your standard hand position. Then I'm gonna rotate on my way down into what's considered like a hammer curl or side position, okay? So start here, down like this, and back up, I'll rotate back around, okay? Remember, go to theperfectpushup.com, look at some of their instructions, and kind of start from their beginner level before you go and start trying to do something intermediate or advanced, all right? So here we go. Legs together, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and down. 1, 2, 3, 4, and up. 1, 2, 3, 4, and down. 1, 2, 3, 4, and up. 1, 2, 3, 4, and down. 1, 2, 3, 4, and up. All right. What I really like about these is that they're flat. So it really eliminates the side-to-side motion. Notice how they don't really move side to side? I really like that. If you put this one next to it, depending on how tight these butterfly nuts here are, you could get a little bit of flexion in the legs. So make sure these are tight. So that way, they're just as firm from side to side as this is from side to side. Stick with us, and we're gonna do some 2s next. For our next set, which are gonna be for 2s, we're gonna go ahead and use a bench. So with the bench, simply all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put my feet on the top of the bench. So I'm gonna go from my beginner's workout and kind of show you what I consider an intermediate or advanced workout. But then I'm gonna flip around and I'm gonna put my feet on the ground and do the bench with my hands. So that way you're gonna see me down as if I was doing a decline. Then you're gonna see me up as if I was doing an incline. So when you're using the bench, there's many different types of benches. You have some benches that are adjustable benches. So they normally have a crease between the lower portion of the bench and the back portion of the bench. So if you are using a bench of that manner, you may want to put your legs on both of the different pads. So one leg on the bottom, one leg on the top. The reason for that is because you don't want to get into a situation where the bench may have like a crease at the top and then you're not getting the same balance or the same cushioning at your legs. And so we'll show you a couple pictures of some different benches so you can see like a flat bench that has different positions, and then also benches that have more of an arc on your back portion, and kind of show you how that looks, all right? For this one, we're just gonna be using a standard flat bench, which is used for like dumbbell work and for core work. We're gonna put our feet up on the bench first. Our hand position, for me, my preference when I have my feet up, since it's like a decline, I like keeping my arms really wide. That way, when I go down, I can go ahead and bend those elbows out, so I'm not putting as much tension on my wrist. Additionally, we can use the bars. We can use the bars to get that extra stretch at the bottom and really get those pecs to get, just full of blood and engorged with muscles for both men and women. And we can also use the perfect push-up, super advanced. But right now, we're just gonna start with the basic functions of a sort of decline position with our feet up on the bench. I'm going to do some 2s. Now, when you put your feet up, I normally like starting from my knees, but you can also start with your feet up and start this way. So it really is depending on how strong your legs are and how comfortable you are. Now, with my leg position, I can either move forward, which is going to stretch my ankle out and put a lot of stress on my ankle as I'm going up and down. I can come back, but depending if you're like me with short legs and you're on your shin, you can kind of limit your flex going down because your knees are so close. So I like to find like a happy medium where my ankle's not too flat, but at the same time, I'm not too far back on my shins. Remember, for me, I like doing wide. If I do close, rule of thumb, elbows in. If I do wide, rule of thumb, elbows out. So here we go. Really far wide. Let's put our legs up, strengthen up our cores, tighten our legs, and here we go. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Coming up, bringing my knees down first, and then getting off the bench. Now, remember, it's not about just up and down. If you notice, and you can rewind it if you have to, when I was up at the top, 1, 2. Then I went to the bottom position and then counted 1, 2. I don't want you to get complacent or lazy and do 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. That's not 10s. That's a regular push-up. In 10s, we're trying to create that time under tension. So when I'm at the top, 1, 2, come down. So I can keep my body flexed. I can catch my breathing and then count 1, 2. Come back up. Get that body flexed. 1, 2. Then come down. 1, 2. The same thing will happen when you get to the odd version and you're doing 3s and you're doing 1s. You want to take your time. Time under tension and range of motion, ROM and TUT. Those are two main components of the 10s because once again, it's strength, cardio, and also endurance. Now we're going to go ahead and switch around and we're going to do what's sort of like a incline. So now my feet are going to be on the ground and then my hands are going to be on the bench. Some of the same ideals is that depending on what muscle I'm working, right? I can do a wide grip or I can do a close grip. Hey, leave a comment if you remember what the rule of thumb is when you're doing close and wide. And here we go for 2s. I'm going to do this one instead of wide as I did with the decline. Since I'm in an incline, I'm going to keep my arms closed, bring my elbows in. So I'm shoulder width apart. I'm going to keep my shoulders kind of in line with my wrists so I'm not at an angle like this or I'm not too far forward. Those are advanced workouts that most gymnasts do to build a lot of strength for like rings and pommel horse and things of that nature. So since we're just beginning, shoulder width, keep that palm flat, and then here we go. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. So there you go. 2s. I hope you're having as much fun as I am. But since I am Mr. 1000 reps, you know, sometimes I just got to go kind of overboard. So this set, not only are we going to go from the even side, 10, 8, 6, 4, 2. Remember, in order to do a full set of 10s, you have to balance it out. So you got to do the odds. So for our set of 9s, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use some dumbbells. Now, dumbbells are an advanced technique. The reason I say that is because you may think, well, keeping the dumbbells flat like this is very similar to using the bars. And you're right in thinking that. But we're not going to do them flat. We're actually going to stand up the dumbbell. Now, what's this going to do? There's a number of things that this is going to do. Number one is going to force us to keep our balance. So if you have not developed the strength yet, I don't suggest you do these. Because if you lose your balance and that dumbbell comes down, depending on where your finger are, you can crush a finger, you can hurt an elbow, you can fall over, hurt your hand on the other side. So even though I'm showing you this workout now, this, because it's the odd side, right? I'm doing something a little different, can be very dangerous. So please, please, please be careful if you ever attempt to do these. The bigger the dumbbell, the easier it is to balance. The smaller the dumbbell, the harder it is to balance. So I'm going to start out with a set of just iron cast 25s. You also have like hex, you have rubber hex weights. You also have flat weights. I have some of those myself. The thing that I would tell you about using the dumbbell is that no matter what, be careful about the curve at the top of the dumbbell. That makes it very unstable. So if you have a dumbbell that has a curve at the end, I would not suggest you use them for this style of workout. But if it's flat, or as much flat as you can get, and the ground that you're on is flat, then you should be able to do these with, relatively ease in order to keep it balanced. Another thing, we here at the Den of Pain have 3/4 inch rubber floors. That is not common in most home gyms, and a lot of times, even in a commercial gym, very expensive, and they have like different areas of the gym where you can do, like heavy weight, and you can drop the weight and things of that nature. So because this is a unique situation with the floor, we can kind of get away with it. So what would be an alternative to that? You can just fold in half like a yoga mat, or you can put towels on the floor to kind of help with creating a cushion between the floor and the dumbbell so that way they don't slip. Now we are gonna do 9s. So what I'm gonna do, I like to put the numbers where my fingers are on them. It doesn't remind me or anything. It's not like I'm doing, like Morse code or something, or I'm doing like sign language, all right? It's just my preference to do it where the numbers are. So I keep my fingers there. I'm gonna just grip it from the top of the weight. Now for the width, I can do it in any variation, but for this example, I'm gonna do them just outside of my shoulder width, but not so far out. I'm gonna keep my elbows kind of slightly in, but not all the way in, so that way I don't end up doing this to the weight. And I don't wanna keep them too far out because I don't wanna do this to the weight. So I gotta kind of find the happy medium, okay? So here we go, legs together. I'm gonna get into the position. Remember, flex your whole body, tighten your core out, and we'll begin. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and back up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and down. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1, and back up. Very important to remember, balance is the key. So take your time going up and going down. The bigger the dumbbell, the more stable. The smaller the dumbbell, the less stable. Additionally, keep your abs or your core very tight. Remember to breathe. Now, you may see that I count while I'm doing them. I would tell you as a beginner, if you can figure out to put it into your head to count, so that way you can concentrate on your breathing, that's fine as well. To keep you honest, you can have someone else count for you while you're doing them. Hopefully, you can go kind of back and forth. So if you get a partner, you do one set and you count, they'll count for you. And then while they do their set, you count for them. All right? So that was 9s. Let's go ahead and continue and we'll bring you back to 7s. All right. So I gave you a basic breakdown of the 10s. Remember, breathing, time under tension, as well as for your starters, doing them on your knees or off your knees. The wrist, we used a couple of different accessories, the bars, we used the perfect push-up, we did some dumbbells, we used the bench for incline and decline positions. We talked about our legs, our hands, our head as well. But there's also a couple of things I want to make a point of. We only got till 9, which means we left out 7, 5, 3, and 1. A complete set of 10s is starting from 10 to 2, 9 to 3, and then 1s. Remember, I told you when you do 2s, 3s, and 1s, you want to make sure that you are counting at the top, come down to the bottom, catch your breath, stiffen up, and count again. So you're not just going 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. It's 2, 2, 2, 2, so on and so forth for 1 and 3s. You can obviously do that for all of them as you become more advanced so you can challenge yourself. Also, to make it even more complicated, use a timer. In between each one of them, put a minute. So that way you can keep your cardio really going. So I'll do 10s till failure, which means that whatever iteration I'm doing, I'm gonna go into the point where I'm either shaking or I can't go down or I can't come up. Remember not to put your chest on the ground. You wanna keep that tension. And also, keep your minute. Stay honest to yourself. Once you're done with the workout, hit the timer, wait for that 1 minute, and then go right back to it. Now, in our next video, we're gonna do a challenge for you, and we're gonna go through the entire set of 10s. I'm gonna take myself to failure. Hopefully, you can join me, and by rewinding that video and then starting it over and just challenging yourself and seeing how much you can or can't do. No matter what, remember, we're here for your wellness and to build you up. So we have additional videos coming up where we're talking about nutrition, mental health, and spiritual strength. But we really wanted to take a moment and just introduce to you our beginner's workout so that way you can stay in tune with us and start building strength. So when I start doing my 1,000 round circuit. Remember, in this channel, it's all about your wellness. But if there's one thing that Mr. 1000 Reps always says is keep repping. Peace.